everybody, it's Dan, your friendly fishmonger from dansfish.com, and today we have a tour for you. We're going to show you all the new fish that came in from Nigeria. They're now available for sale on the website, dansfish.com, if you're interested in anything you see. But let's take a look and show you around. Alright, I want to start with these guys. These are a species of jewel cichlid. Sometimes we call them the banded jewel cichlid. Sometimes they're called the 5-star general. The scientific name is HEMICHROMIS elongatus. You know, we're all familiar with the jewel, the other HEMICHROMIS species, basically a bright red fish. These are like that, but give you some variety. Same temperament though. These are an aggressive fish. You're not going to want to put these in your peaceful little community aquarium, but they're beautiful. So if you like jewel cichlids and you want another flavor, they have these nice bright red rows on them. They kind of look like a flag or something like that. Pretty fish. These are about full grown at, I don't know, 3 inches, 4 inches on the biggest ones here. I think this is the dominant male, showing the most color there. Kind of darkened in. These are hardy. They eat everything, flakes, pellets, live, frozen, whatever. They're not picky at all. This is a very easy fish to keep as long as you keep the aggression in mind. We have some ropefish, and I don't know how much of these guys we're gonna see because they hide so much. There's the tail end of one. Let's go in here. You can see some faces poking out. There goes one. There's another one back there. We got a swimmer. Awesome. So here's a nice one. There's several in there, but they're in the pipes and plants and such. These guys are eating on live and frozen foods. They've kind of started to nibble at vibrobites, but I wouldn't say that they're trained to it yet. So they've got a little ways to go. They're kind of like a peaceful bashir, I guess, and not as big. They get long, they get a couple feet, but they stay skinny, so they don't take up all the tank space like a bashir would. And they do eat live food, so they will eat live fish, but not if it doesn't easily fit in their mouth. They aren't going to work too hard at it. But see that? They do have a good sized mouth on them. So don't put anything with them that's too small. Don't put anything with them that's too aggressive, because they're a fairly peaceful fish. And the other thing with these is you have to have a very tight fitting lid, because they are jumpers. These guys will push their way up through a lid and get out onto your floor if you're not careful. So as long as you can keep a lid on nice and tight, these are a really neat addition, really unique fish. Do well with lots of stuff, but not with anything aggressive. They're pretty slow to the food and they're pretty peaceful little guys. It's going to be hard to get a good shot of these. These are the blue diamond Congo tetra. The scientific name is long and complicated. It'll be on the website. They're called the blue diamond Congo tetra because I hope it's showing up on camera a little bit. It often doesn't, but they get this beautiful light blue iridescence that sparkles off them, especially the upper half. But if the lighting's coming on the side, you can see it down on the bottom of the fish as well. So I'm literally just going to kind of stay here and let the camera sit in the hopes that that's coming through. It's really hard to pick up on camera. So hopefully that came through on some of them. Really nice fish. One moment it's silver, the next moment it's this really reflective, bright blue. It's a light blue, but it's bright. Real quick, I'll show you these. I don't have these listed yet. These are Brycinus longipinus, a great tetra. They get about, I don't know, do these get up to maybe 3 inches? They're a larger tetra. I only have 3 of them, and I'm still nursing them back to health. They came in with a lot of ammonia burn, but as you can see, the tails are kind of pretty much grown back. They've got some weight back. They're recovering, so it'll be a little while before those are listed for sale. So they're not on the website yet, but they are coming. These are one I really, really like. So these are the African butterfly fish. A really unique species. Super peaceful. They will gulp up anything small enough to easily fit in their mouth, but if it doesn't easily fit in their mouth, then they're not going to bother it. They're a niche fish. They have adapted specifically for living right up on top of the water. They have those on their ventral fins there, those long tentacle type feelers that come down. those look like plant roots. So when they're just sitting up there, they look like a plant. Their wings look like leaves, and they kind of just sit there and wait for an insect to come by. In the aquarium, they're very easy. They will jump, so you've been warned. But they eat flakes, they eat pellets, anything that floats. As soon as it falls down, they're not interested in it anymore at all. But if it's on the surface, prepared foods are no problem. And they love crickets and they love fruit flies and stuff, but flakes and pellets, not a problem for these guys at all. They're very peaceful, so they're a good community tank. If you're looking for the fish that you want to live on the top level of your aquarium, you've got the middle, you've got some cories on the bottom, some peaceful middle swimming fish, but you're just like, I can't find anything that is a true top fish. These are a good option. Now, they can be solitary or in groups, but if you keep them in groups like this, they'll be much more active. If you only have one or two in a tank, they're not going to do a whole lot. They'll kind of sit there and they'll come out and eat when the food arrives. When you get a big group of them, there's a lot more interaction and stuff to watch. So they're fine either way. I don't think they particularly care much, but you might care. If you get a group, you'll see some better behavior. There's another fish in here that isn't from the Nigeria import I want to show you real quick just because we're here. That's these red fin bala sharks. These are awesome. They only get 3-4 inches, so they don't have that problem that bala sharks have, which is they get so darn big that they're just unmanageable, and they're a lot more sedate. I would say they act more like a roseline shark in their swimming behavior and activity level, or denison barb, than they do a bala shark. So if you like that bala shark look, these are manageable size, manageable behavior, and they get more color. They get those nice red fins. They're not actually the same genus as a bala shark. They're a completely different fish, but that's the common name, and I didn't come up with it, so we're kind of stuck with it. But I see why they came up with it. They do kind of look like a bala shark with red fins. Now, I just startled these guys. They were all out and about, but then I came here with the camera. These are the African knife fish. And I really like these for a few reasons. One is they don't get very big. So they're going to top out at about 8 inches, I would say on average. A really, really large one might be 12 inches, but that's like a record. I think you're going to be 8 inches, give or take a bit, on these guys in general. So if you like knife fish, but you're like, what am I going to do with this 4-foot clown knife or this 2-3 foot ghost knife? I think 2-foot ghost knife. These are a great option. They're also a lot more peaceful than your average knife fish. As they grow, they do get a little more aggressive with conspecifics, so they aren't one that, you know, it's kind of like the cichlid thing when you think about the aggression level on these guys. They're more peaceful than most knife fish. So there's one that looks a lot like them, which is the Asian knife fish, a brown knife fish out of Asia, and that one's a lot more aggressive. The reason I like these African knife fish is, of all the knife fish, they're probably the least aggressive among themselves, among conspecifics as they mature, and they don't get too big. They're eating well on frozen food and live food. I haven't tried to train them over to like pellet foods or flakes or anything yet, but we're going to start with Vibrobrites here pretty soon. They come out and interact with us. I mean, they still get startled when I first come over, especially with the camera in my hands, but within a few seconds they come out and they're begging for food. They're kind of like a wet pet, but one that isn't a tank buster. So you can keep these in a 55-gallon or a 75-gallon. Even a 40 breeder, I think you could keep one in because it's only going to get about 8 inches. But really cool knife fish, and one that's manageable, which is what I like about them. These are a mammarid. Let me scooch over here. Mammirids are neat. They're an electrical fish. They communicate and locate food with electrical pulses, not in the way that like an electric eel or an electric catfish does. In other words, they aren't gonna, let's see if I can find one that's out, they're kind of hiding right now. They aren't gonna knock you on your butt with an electric shock, but they use the electricity to communicate and to locate food. So like a dolphin uses sonar, these guys use electrical pulses. This is the baby dolphin. Well, that's just a common name. It's Angolensis is the subspecies name, and it'll be on the website. but there's a couple that I have. This one's the baby dolphin. It's a little fatter, little different shape, and then I'll show you the other one that we have, which is called the baby whale, which is darker in color and a little thinner in shape. They're all kind of in that Java moss, and it's kind of hard to focus on them. Hopefully that gets it. They're not trained on pellets or flakes. They're eating frozen and live. I don't know if these ever will eat pellets and flakes, but I know they eat brine shrimp and they eat frozen bloodworms and live blackworms and all that kind of stuff. And they don't get too big. So mammirids are neat, but a lot of them get really big. These guys top out at maybe 4 inches. So they're about full grown, what you're seeing right here. These are a mystery. What I ordered was the African banded barb, which is a small dwarf barb species with a bunch of bands on it. What came were these. And it looks to me like there's 2 different species in here, some kind of cyprinids, and I don't know what they are. I have them in for identification right now. But there's these guys that look kind of like a drape fin barb a little bit, I guess. They're not, but they kind of look like one. And then there's these, which are a different species. I think they're some kind of cyprinid. They might be a tetra, but I'm pretty sure that's a cyprinid. So anyway, 2 mystery African cyprinids. The bags weren't labeled or anything, so I'm trying to figure out what they are. And in case you're wondering if you've seen some deformed turquoise rainbow fish swim by, this is the retirement tank for the... I got a batch of turquoise rainbows in, geez, a couple years ago, and some of them weren't shaped right. So they're just in here living out their lives. But yeah, if anyone knows what these are, I would appreciate it. Hopefully I'll get an ID soon. I have some queries into some folks that know these fish well. These are an absolute favorite of mine. I love these. This is EPIPLATYS from AKIO. And what I like about them is they're a nice top-dwelling fish. Again, it's hard sometimes to find a fish that really does tend to stay at the top level. I know these are swimming down a little bit, but by and large, they're at the top level. They have a neat pattern on them. They're a neat little pike shape. The males and females are easy to distinguish. This right here is a male. It's got a longer anal fin and a lot more color. And this right here, kind of below him and to the left, that one is a female. The fins are more transparent and not as elongated. There's a nice male right there to follow. These, in my experience, have proven to be very hardy. They eat flakes and pellets without any problem. They do like live and frozen too, but they're not difficult to feed and keep at all. And they're pretty long-lived. In fact, I have some that I think are 3 years old now. Let me show them to you. I believe it was. And they're right here. So I think I'm down to, there might be one male in there, mostly females. But these fish were wild when they came in, so I don't know how old they were. And is it 3 years, 2.5 years, maybe 3 years that I've had them. So they live at least that long. So nice long-lived killifish. That's what they look like when they're old and gray. I can tell they're slowing down a bit. Like I can tell age is catching up with them. These are APHYOSEMION CALLIURUM. They were collected at OGUN, and I just scrubbed the algae off the front of this glass a few minutes ago. So it's really cloudy in here. We'll link a video up above. It's not all cloudy, which maybe will help you see them better. Hopefully that guy right there is coming into focus. Now these are young males. They aren't all colored up completely yet. They're gonna get a lot more red on them. The yellow is gonna come in a lot more, but this gives you an idea of what the fish will be. I just spooked them. And then there's a female right in there, but it's so cloudy that I'm gonna move on just because, yeah, I will. It's a cloudy tank. Down below them, we have the baby, these are the baby whales, which are another mammirid. These stay small, just like the other guys. These I've noticed are out and about a lot more. So they basically cruise around, and they cruise around on the substrate, and they look for little morsels to eat. This guy's kind of doing it right over here. And often they're just out across the tank doing it, even during the daylight. So they don't appear to be as shy as the baby whales. They're not going to get too big. You do want to provide, with all mammirids, you do want to provide a lot of hiding places and things, because the more secure they feel, the more they'll be out. Now they are a fish that hides frequently. They're like a pleco. They're more active at night, or crespilar at least. But these guys I have noticed are out quite a bit. Really cool little electrical fish. And the species name, the scientific name, will be on the website. I just can't remember it. All right, here's another favorite of mine. This is a little killifish. It's a lamp eye. The green, neon green lamp eye killie. It's POROPANCHAX LUXOPHTHALMUS, and this collection location is IBAFO. This is one that I don't know always shows up well on camera, but it's got a bright glowing eye like most lamp eyes, and it's also got a bunch of iridescent green neon color on it, which I have no idea if that is going to come through on camera or not. I've tried for years to get a good picture of these guys, and I don't. Like, it's hard to get that iridescent color on camera. We'll just set the camera here, I guess, a little bit and let you look. They're very healthy. They're doing well. They're eating flakes and pellets and live and frozen. Not a problem to feed at all. You can see, though, one issue with getting wild collected fish is, see the size discrepancy? Most of the fish farms will sort for size, at least somewhat, but when you get wild collected fish, they don't. So we've got some here that are maybe a little over 1/4 of an inch, and some here that are about an inch or maybe a tiny bit above in size. So that's kind of the size range. The biggest ones in there are full grown. These guys stay at about an inch in size, maybe 1.25 would be a monster. But really easy fish, really beautiful. Just doesn't show up on camera very well, but it's a cool one. This is a tetra that you never see, so I'm excited to have it in. This is NANNOCHARAX LATIFASCIATUS, I believe is how you say it. It's an African pencil tetra. They remind me a little bit of like Characidiums, a little bit. I mean, they have a swim bladder, but so not completely, but, or kind of like a pencil fish, like a South American pencil fish. They're cool. I've never seen them in person before. I've tried to get them in the past, and they just have not shipped them to me. They shipped other stuff labeled as them, but it wasn't even close. So I am very glad to have some of these in. Don't know a whole lot about them because there's not a lot of information on them. There's a little bit, but they're just not something that you're gonna find a lot on. I'm finding them to be hardy and easy to keep. They're getting used to eating captive foods and things. They're fat and healthy, so I think they'll do well for you. There's not a lot of information on how to spawn them or anything specific, but cool little, let's call them an African pencil fish, maybe. We have these characins. So this is a species of African tetra. No label on them when they were shipped, so I honestly could not tell you what these are. I don't know if they're, like a couple of them, like this one with the dark tail, the dark spot on the tail, look like juvenile BRIENOMYRUS elongatus maybe, but I don't know. And the rest of them don't have that, so I think there's 2 species in here, no clue. So if anyone knows what these are, these came out of Nigeria, and that's about all I know. So I have sent a picture out for identification, but until that comes in, they're a mystery African tetra. It's probably what'll have them labeled as on the website. They're hardy, they're doing great. I just don't know what they are. These are cool. These are little tetra, MACROLEPIDOTUS stormsci, and I'm liking them. They're hardy, they seem really cool. They get a nice bright red adipose fin, which is kind of cool. And they're getting some like orange colors in the dorsal fin and the caudal fin. Just a neat little African tetra. I've never seen them in person before. And again, with this one, there's not much online. It's going to be difficult to find much information on them. Fortunately, I don't think they're difficult. They're eating flakes and pellets and seem to be just as hardy as, like, you know, your normal tetras. Not one you ever see. So it's kind of cool to get it in and see it. This is Barbodes gracilis. This is a tiny, tiny little cyprinid, barb type fish, if you will. It reminds me a lot of Boraris or some of those Pseudodanio species, but this is African, not Asian. Now I haven't fed these yet today, so this is their actual body condition. They're doing okay. They're not like wasting away, but they aren't as fat as I would like. So I'm trying to fatten them up. Some fish though are just kind of naturally skinny, and I don't know much about these. So We'll see if I can get more weight on them or not. I'm feeding them lots of baby brine shrimp and things like that. This cool little fish I've never seen in person before. Neat little nano fish. Full size, they're just over ½ an inch. So these guys do not get very big. With the pygmy cories is another of my favorites. It's a killifish. It's APHYOSEMION bitaniatum from Agboa. On the live stream last night, I was calling them bivitatums, but they're not. They're bitaniatums. So Mikey, or Mickey, who's discussing that with me last night, was correct. Now these are young, and they're still settling in, so you're not going to see a lot of color yet. What we're looking for at this stage is health. So you can see those striped guys back there. Let's see, do I have you in focus? There you go. So you got the pygmy cory in the front, and then a couple of striped guys in the back there. Those are the bivitatums. And I'd like to show you a nice colored male. Here's a female in the front. So that's a female. And the males get very long extended fins with a lot of color on them. I don't have any large males right now to show you. But I've got some young ones, and they'll grow up into really nice fish. This is one of them. I'm trying to follow. Okay, here's a male up here. Right there, but it's not showing a lot of color or a lot of the finnage yet. Here's another male. They're just too young, but they're gonna be really nice fish if you know your chrome APHYOSEMIONs. Bitaniatums are really pretty. All right, here we have a group of African red-eyed tetras, and they're in here with a couple of rainbow fish, Melanitania affinis from the Dansari River. But mostly, this is African red-eyed tetras. They're named after that bright red eye. That's where they get their common name from. But my favorite point on this fish is the anal fin, like on this guy. When they get that yellow and black flagged pattern on the anal fin, like a striped pattern. That's my favorite part of the fish. I think that's really cool. Pretty unique looking fin. These guys are super hardy. They eat everything. They'll eat flakes, pellets, they don't care. Live frozen foods. If it hits the water, they'll eat it. Not picky at all. Neat grouping fish. I wouldn't call them schooling. They're not like tight schoolers, but they do shoal around like a typical tetra. And they're of a decent size. So one of the, I would say, larger size tetras. Not massive by any means, but big enough to hang with angelfish and things like that. Definitely rainbow fish, other fish like that. So neat looking fish, the African red-eyed tetra. These are the African leaf fish. So they're very similar to the South American leaf fish, just a little different color form, but same general idea. A dedicated carnivore, so you need live moving stuff for these. You can perhaps get them to eat frozen mysis and stuff like that if you had some really long, forceps or tweezers or something. You could probably train them to that, but right now they're just eating their normal diet, which is feed them light blackworms, feed them little guppies and things, feed them ghost shrimp, cherry shrimp, things like that. So they're a dedicated carnivore, and they kind of need their food to be moving to cue in on it. Doing great though, haven't lost any of these. They're healthy, they're happy, and watching them feed is kind of amazing. Their mouth shoots out like a big trumpet, basically, and expands multiple times its normal size and sucks in whatever their prey item is. They're designed so that they look like a leaf, and they basically kind of swim very slowly or stay still, and then they wait for a prey item to swim into their area, and then they strike. So they're an ambush predator. Yep, African leaf fish. That'll conclude our tour. That's what we have in from Nigeria. I don't think I missed anything. I might have, though. There's a couple Synodontis species we got in that I've got to treat quite a bit more. They came in rough, so it'll be a while before they're ready for sale. But what we just showed you, all that stuff's ready to go. Some of it's a mystery. There's like a couple Barbs species, or cyprinids at least, and that Tetra species that I just don't know what they are. But so we'll list them as mystery with a picture. Yeah, but that's as good as I can do until I can get a firm ID. Anyway, Hope you liked that. If you did, feel free to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that jazz us YouTubers are always begging you to do, because it helps us out. So if you want to help out, do that. Or don't. Up to you. Either way, until next time, I hope you have a good one. Thanks, bye-bye. I don't know if my chair is squeaky enough. Maybe I need to get more squeak on it.